Welcome to Joe Stonner Boxing. You've heard the phrase shootout, and there was a heavyweight example of it. Kind of a facile fight, really, but yeah, it was a shootout of sorts, I suppose. Arslanbek Makhmudov, coming back from losing 2 by stoppage in his last 3, fighting a guy called Ricardo Brown over in Canada. Now, Makhmudov is a Russian. He does reside in Canada. He's 36 years old. He's now got 20 wins with 19 KOs, so we know he can hit hard. We knew that all along. The 2 defeats, though, were an 8-round TKO to Guido Vianello, and that was just under a year ago, maybe. And, of course, he was chopped down, knocked down 3 times with body punches by Ajit Kabayel to lose his unbeaten record. Kabayel is still undefeated. Now, this Ricardo Brown, I hadn't seen him before. He's a Jamaican guy, again, living in Canada, I think. I hadn't seen him, but I did think, Makhmudov is there for the taking. He's lost 2 of his last 3 by stoppage. He's knocking on a bit, 1 more defeat, and he'll be out of there. There's no way back. 1 more bad defeat, anyway. But I didn't realise how bad Ricardo Brown is. I mean, this guy came in with 12 wins, 11 KOs, no draws and no defeats. He looked terrible, absolutely terrible. Stiff as a board, bolt upright, didn't deliver his punches correctly. They were clubbing, like he was sort of trying to... it was almost like his fists were attached to bits of string, and he was throwing his fists like, you know what I mean? The punches were all it was all very it's crude, and his footwork was slow, but if there was any footwork, he had no defence to speak of. He was awful, absolutely awful. And I think really he chose to sort of have a shootout with Makhmudov simply because he didn't have any boxing skills or any to speak of. He's just this crude, very crude guy, kind of like Gerald Washington almost, although he's probably a poor man's Gerald Washington. And if you looked at his record beforehand, the only name I recognised was Pavel Sauer, who gets knocked out early by everyone, and sure enough, he went out in a couple of rounds against Brown. But terrible opponent for Makhmudov. Makhmudov hurt Brown almost immediately. Then they exchanged a few clubbing punches. Makhmudov does hit hard, and even though he has that thudding power rather than a sharpshooter power, nevertheless he's very accurate and he delivers his punches with a decent technique. And one of them was an overhand right, which knocked Brown flat on his face by the ropes. Brown got up, excuse me, and he looked wobbly. His legs looked wobbly. His legs looked wobbly from the opening bell, virtually. And the referee looked at him, gave him a good old look, probably gave him a chance, took a few extra seconds to assess the situation, and then waved it off. And I don't blame him for doing that. I think that was a perfectly decent stoppage. But Brown was awful. He really was awful. No tactics to speak of. Just, I'm going to go in there with a guy who was coming in with 19 wins with 18 KOs, because I've got 11 KOs in 12, so we're going to have a good old-fashioned gunslinging, standoff. You don't fight Makhmudov like that. I mean, Makhmudov is a huge man and has, some semblance of being schooled in the art of boxing. Brown looked like a completely robotic manufactured fighter who immediately got found out from virtually the opening bell. It was terrible spectacle. So where does this leave Makhmudov? I don't know. I mean, again, it's like with Wilder and his performance against Herndon. If you give Makhmudov a dozen of this level of opposition, this sort of D-level opposition, D- even level opposition, he's going to knock him out. And then he'll probably step up against one of the elite and he'll get found out again. It was a rather facile, pointless exercise. And when I said shootout, normally when you think of a fighter, of a fight that is a shootout, you think of excitement. Well, how long did this fight last? I mean, 2 minutes? Not even that. it wasn't that exciting because you just knew who was going to come out on top. Immediately when they locked horns, you thought, okay, this is Makhmudov's got this. Just on sheer physical strength, technique and power, he's got this. But anyway, Makhmudov looking for another big payday. He'll probably get it at some point because he is a bit of a name. They'll probably give him another couple of knockover jobs. And hey, he's taken an undefeated fighter's unbeaten record, but low level, you're telling me. All right, if you do have anything to say on this fight, how far do you think Makhmudov can go? Do you think he can come back? Give him a certain type of fight, a certain type of opponent, and he can be exciting, and he can probably sell a few tickets, but nah, it's got to be better than this. Let me know what you think anyway. Comments below. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new, and if you did like this video, hit the like button. Let's build up the channel. Thank you very much, as always, for your support. I appreciate it, I always do, and I'll give your comments a read. Thank you very much. Bye for now.